Hello, students. Okay, so this is going to be part 2 of feedback and explanation on Essay 1. I included how Essay 1 will be evaluated and assessed before you even started the essay so that you would read through here and see what it is that I was looking for specifically. This is exactly how I graded your essay. Okay, this list is also known as a rubric. I don't know if you're familiar with rubrics, but basically rubrics tell you exactly how your essay will be graded. So the more pieces of a rubric that you have in your essay, the higher your grade is going to be. And then obviously anything that you don't is a loss of points. So this writing of Essay 1 will demonstrate how much a student remembers from the prerequisite class English 1301. Unfortunately, lots and lots and lots of rusty academic writing skills I saw. I don't know how long it's been since some of you took 1301, but it definitely showed. Then also to add what you have learned thus far in the course, okay, so for the first 5 weeks. Specifically, the essay will measure if he knows how to create a clearly written, strongly argued academic essay. Again, I saw lots of rusty academic writing skills, and I think the 2 reasons why that happened was you did not fully understand what you were being asked to write about, and perhaps you did not read the directions carefully enough. Either way, the essay suffered quite a bit if either one of those things happened, and then, God forbid, both happened. Okay. Again, go back to week 1 learning module and thoroughly and carefully review all the materials in the English 1301 refresher folder before attempting to write the essay. Not enough of you did that. So you had rusty skills, but then you didn't try to help yourself by maybe perhaps reviewing the main concepts of 1301, such as parenthetical citations, MLA formatting, how to write intros and conclusions, about transitions, about fragments and run-ons. Yeah, if you had read that English 1301 refresher file very carefully, a lot less errors would have happened. And then if you had proofread your essay carefully after you were done writing it, you would have also caught a lot of those same problems. Okay, so all of the specific essay components on this list is also known as a rubric, are required to be present in Essay 1, and if used effectively will result in earned points. If missing or not used effectively, points will be lost. So, of course, the first thing that I did is evaluated your essay for MLA formatting. As I said earlier, many of you did not follow the MLA formatting for how to format an essay. You need to figure out how to do that, because that's actually kind of a ridiculous reason to lose points on formatting. Don't you want to be evaluated on the quality of your writing? I would think so, but MLA formatting is also important. It makes your essay easy to read. A reader knows where to look for and find things, and it's easier for me to insert comments. It just has a lot of benefits to it. It also shows that you're a careful writer, and it also shows that you know how to follow directions. Okay, let's talk about the title of the essay. Title of an essay is supposed to be relevant and interesting. It is your first attempt as a writer to gain the attention of your reader. You have to make them interested enough to read the essay. So things like essay number 1 is not going to work. That's relevant, but it's not interesting. So you needed to come up with some kind of topic of the essay. Many of you used the title of the article that you examined, but that's not what your essay was about. The essay was about bias. So wouldn't it be logical to put the word bias somewhere in the title of your essay for Essay 1? Yes, it would have been. All right, let's turn to an introductory paragraph. Contains all the elements asked for in the directions for Essay 1. So again, this was down here. It literally told you what to put in there. So if you did that, that's good. If you wrote in grammatically correct complete sentences, that was also good. Okay, this intro paragraph, there's no formal thesis being asked for, okay? So it's not something like, this essay will discuss these kind of things. just clearly and specifically touch on all the elements in the order they were listed in this intro paragraph. Plus, the title was a big clue to your reader of what the topic of the essay was going to be. So it did not ask you for a formal thesis there. Most of you did okay with that. You did what I asked you to do, which was to touch on all the elements. It's just a lot of it was not in grammatically complete or correct sentences. Some of you went on and on and on and on for like a page and a half just doing the intro paragraph. The intro paragraph was long, but it should have maybe taken up a half to a third, 2/3 of the page at the most. Yeah, if I gave you some directions about how you were too wordy or not brief enough, you need to pay attention to that. Okay, first body paragraph begins with a logical transition and topic sentence. Logical transition. Transitions help create connections in the minds of your readers. So if you're starting your discussion of your essay, or you're starting the conversation on your first point, then transitions such as firstly, to begin, to start, the first point I would like to talk about, would all be relevant transitional words and expressions. Many of you had no transition there. Topic sentence, incredibly important here. The topic of the essay the first body paragraph, the topic was how the author was supposed to show less bias in their, right here, less biased in their writing. So you needed to pick out an example and you need to plug it in here to essay 1. Now the topic sentence would have to tell the reader that you were going to discuss an example of less biased writing. Many of you did not have a topic sentence at all. If you don't have a topic sentence, how does your reader know what that paragraph's about? A lot of you just launched into quoting and paraphrasing and stuff with no explanation as to what the heck you were talking about. That's not going to work. This paragraph contains examples of what the directions for this essay specified, which in this case was an example of less biased writing. An intro phrase appears before each direct quote and paraphrase. I talked about that earlier. It establishes the ethos of whoever it is that you're directly quoting or paraphrasing. A correct MLA in text or parenthetical citation appears at the end of the sentence or sentences where a quote or paraphrase was used. Some of you put it in the middle of the sentence. That is incorrect. That is APA. That is not MLA. MLA, the in text or parenthetical citation, is inserted at the end of the sentence where a quote or paraphrase was used. Again, many of you are rusty on MLA in text parenthetical citations, and you need to review it as soon as possible. Okay, second paragraph, which also begins with a logical transition in a topic sentence. Now, you are going to be talking about a contrasting point. Okay, so the first body paragraph was about less biased writing. Well, now you're going to talk about a contrasting point. So to put a transition in there that would show contrast, such as on the contrary, on the other hand, there's all different kinds of them. Google is your friend. Go look up transitional words or expressions, print yourself off a list, and use them in your writing. Again, many of you lacked a topic sentence here. The topic sentence in the second body paragraph needed to tell your reader what the topic of that paragraph was, which in this case was more biased, less balanced writing. Paragraph contains examples with the directions for the essay specified. Again, I told you right down here. Okay, second body paragraph, writer editor made a weak or no attempt. And then, of course, you need to explain it. Talks about intro phrases, correct MLA citation again. Okay, same problems that happen here in the first were probably happening here in the second. The conclusion paragraph begins with a logical transition. Please do not use in conclusion. Miss Brooks really dislikes that one. Whenever a student uses in conclusion to start their conclusion, I always have that Nicolas Cage meme going off in my head where his eyes are bugging out of his head and he goes, "You don't say." Obviously, if it's your conclusion and you write in conclusion, it just sounds silly. Okay, there's lots of other transitional words and phrases that you can use to introduce your conclusion besides the very trite and overused in conclusion. For example, you could write therefore, in the end, in brief, in summary, to conclude, in the end. There's all kinds of them. Google is your friend. A restatement of the thesis is present. Now, there was no formal thesis. However, what were the two topics of this paper? They were examples of less biased writing and more biased writing. So those things should have been mentioned in the conclusion paragraph. And then there's a final thought. This is known as the conclusion strategy. There's a final thought that you offer your reader. In the case of this, the final thought I ask you to put in there is to briefly summarize what you learned from completing this activity. So what did you learn about bias? How is that going to affect later on what you read and hear? That's what I was looking for there. Again, these don't have a fixed position as far as restating the thesis or main ideas and the conclusion, but you arrange the details in the conclusion that will make the most sense to your audience. Some of you, it was very ineffectual because, I don't know, you just kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink in there. 5 terms from the vocabulary list are to be used in the essay. Each must be underlined and used in the correct rhetorical context. I talked about that earlier. That didn't go so well for some people. No, we're excited. Page required. A few of you did it, even though I asked you not to. You didn't need to. And again, the more of these elements present in the essay, the higher the number of points earned. And then questions were for you to contact me. Not enough contacted me with questions. And even just to double check that you understood what you were what you were being asked to do. It's very, very, very important that you do that, most especially with the very first essay for a teacher that you have never written for before. You need to be running things past her so that you're sure you understand what you're being asked to do. Okay, I'm going to end this video, and we're going to go on to looking at a successful student example and then see how that met most of the things on this list. And she earned a 90 out of 100 on this essay.